Yeah.
So, and that's the one that we went and checked out last Saturday with some other people with your friends. You want to tell them about who we met up with?
Okay, so I'm just going to rewind real quick for a minute or two. I went and checked this place out 2 weeks ago after my daughter had a soccer game in Dartmouth, Mass. I was 10 minutes away from this place, and I'm like, fuck it, let me go check it out. I went there. I went to the military museum. That was cool as fuck. I walked around, went to all the other gun stations. That was pretty cool. And then I walked the entire bike/walking path, and it led me all the way down to Battery Milliken. And when I got there, it was like this major fucking underground bunker thing. And as I walked closely up to it, I noticed there was a fence, but there was a hole that you could fit a goddamn fucking Volkswagen through.
Yeah.
So, and there was no signs of like no trespassing or anything of that matter.
Yeah.
So I walked right inside that motherfucker, and I'm like, okay, like this is up my alley. Like, I'm going to do some exploring. Well, let me tell you something. Well, as soon as I turned that fucking corner and went around, that fucking place was pitch fucking black. Was it not, Joe?
It was pitch black. And I remember I told you to make sure you bring a flashlight, but the funny thing is the only part of that is that first battery I went into. The first battery you see when you walk in there, Battery Walcott. That's the one that's right in front of you. You can get inside, and there's tunnels. That's the only one I went into. I went like 2 rooms deep, and it was pitch. My phone flashlight didn't even illuminate the room. So like I already knew it was going to be dark, and
so I turn the corner, and it's pitch fucking black. I have a shitty ass fucking Walmart flashlight. I was not prepared for that. So no. I'm like, this is something I can't do solo. I got to roll with a group. I saw a tent at one point inside there, so I literally was only in there for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I called up. I told Joe, told him about my experience, and Joe was like, hey, fuck, I'm free next week. So... cool. I had Joe on board.
Yep.
I reached out to my friend Craig, who I do a lot of urban exploration from. He's a guy that I met on an urban exploration group through Instagram. He was fucking down. We had another guy come that I've urban explored before. I think it was your first time ever meeting Garfield, Joe.
Yeah, it was the first time I met him. You got to give me, when we're done with this, you got to give me his Instagram handle because I got to find him.
Oh, I will. And then we also got to meet the infamous Heather, somebody that Craig has talked a lot about, but I've never met her before.
Yeah.
She's an urban exploration savage, just like Craig is. And she brought her 2 sons. I believe one of them was 16 and the other one was 18. And also I had my daughter. And but also Heather showed up with ghost hunting equipment.
Right. She's also a paranormal investigator.
Yes. So my little stumbling upon this underground military battery, led to a massive adventure that we all went on.
Yeah, it was quite interesting.
Yeah. So we all met in the parking lot around 1:30 on Saturday. This Saturday, if you guys are from Massachusetts or Rhode Island, you'll probably know that the fucking weather was absolutely awful.
No, it was terrible. Torrential downpours last Saturday.
It was like torrential downpours on and off all day. It was like 45 degrees. It just was very shitty. But we all met up around 1:30 and we walked, I don't know, about 10, 15 minutes to the battery.
Yeah, it doesn't take very long to get to it.
No, not at all. about 10-minute walk. And, we got in there, and we just turned the corner and started exploring. And, I mean, what's crazy is Heather, she was even saying, like, the second we turned the corner and she turned on all her ghost box shit, she was getting, like, activity, like, right off the rip, dude.
Yeah, she was.
Like, it was whack.
Yeah, it's pretty cool how that stuff works, and she was definitely getting some different voices, getting some different stuff through it.
Yeah, it was fucking crazy, man.
At one point, I don't know if you heard it or not, but at one point, your daughter said she thought she saw a human figure or a shadow figure towards the end of towards the end of the tunnel.
She talked about that in the car ride. I'm glad you brought that up because it was not human.
Yeah, she said it looked like it was somebody on all fours.
Yeah. Yeah, it freaked her out a lot, actually.
Yeah, we walked around that corner and there was some ravioli in a can with a fork in it, and I kind of brushed it off as like, well, maybe we spooked someone and he ran off, but weird that he would be on all fours. But yeah, she mentioned that to me, and that was interesting.
There was so if you folks don't know, New Bedford, it's a cool city and all, but it's a little rough around the edges.
It can be.
So yeah, it can be. So we walked around that corner and we started walking. So you walk down this hallway and there's doors to the right and left of you. And the first door we saw was just like a small enclosed room with trash and shit all over the place. The second door we saw, there was a tent. So there was clearly some squatter living inside there. So we stayed clear of that room.
Yeah, we just kind of gave space to whatever, if there was somebody in there or not. I don't think, we didn't verify if there was somebody down there, right?
We didn't go in the room.
No, I remember Heather just saying out loud, like, "Hey, we're not here to bother you. Yeah. We're just passing through." I thought they were actually talking to somebody who was legitimately there, but they just.
I mean, I don't know. They might have seen somebody. I didn't go in the fucking room. I saw the tent for the second time.
Yeah, same thing with me. Like, I poked around the corner, saw the tent, and just left it alone. Just give people their space, you know?
I mean, that's why I didn't, like, when I did this the second time, I borrowed 2 flashlights from work that are literally like $100 flashlights.
Yeah.
that I use for my job. Yeah. That were fucking bright as fuck. And I had, I'm not Joe can confirm it, I had like a 10-inch military buck knife on me.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't going to play any games if we ran into any shady characters underneath there. But luckily we didn't.
Right. So, no, we didn't run into anybody. But like you said, you know, your daughter thought she saw some shadow figures. And did she see anything else besides that one, or?
She saw that one shadow figure. She saw glowing eyes at one point. Yeah. When we saw like the long alleyways that were like literally like the width of a person. Yeah,
my shoulders were bumping into both the walls as I walked through them.
And she said she saw glowing eyes at the end of one of them.
Interesting.
She definitely had weird vibes, dude. I mean, she told me she saw something that wasn't human.
Yeah.
But then she also said she saw a little girl at one point.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Nothing spoke to her.
Okay.
I said, "Did anything speak to you at all?" And she said no. This was on the ride home.
Yeah.
But she saw things. She definitely saw things.
Okay. Yeah, so the ghost box in the obvious was definitely had a little bit of voices coming through. Didn't really sound like too much. I remember there was some weird stuff at one point that was coming through, very ominous words.
Yeah, well,
I don't remember exactly what they were.
Were you? That was so. Joe, is there any way to really explain this? I mean, this fucking place is wacky once you get in there.
Yeah, it is wacky. So, you told me, you said, hey, the Ghost Hunters actually did an episode on this, so I went and I watched that episode yesterday. So the Ghost Hunters is the TAPS, the Atlantic Paranormal Society. So they did an episode of this. It's season 11, episode 5, I think. It's the Pirates, something about pirates. And they did the Fort Taber, Fort Rodman. This is back in 2016. And apparently they had started doing reenactments at that point. So they'd started doing like World War I, World War II, Civil War, even Vietnam War reenactments there. And they said the activity that was going on there in 2016 was really bumping up this paranormal activity that was going on. Okay. So once they started doing that, once they started doing the reenactments, they started getting more and more people reporting weird activities. So there was stuff like, there was motion cameras that were going off in the museum constantly. They were seeing stuff in the cameras in the museum. Somebody had reported an apparition that looked like it was working on the tank. The tiger tank that
yeah.
As you see when you walk in, they said there was an apparition that looked like it was trying to work on the tank at some point. There's shadow figures that they see. There's disembodied voices. There's EVPs. There was a girl apparently who was actually in the granite fort, because they do when they were doing the reenactments, they would open the fort up for people to go inside.
Oh, I wish I could have seen that.
I mean, they may have stopped that after COVID. They may have slowed that down and stopped doing that after COVID. We'll have to look into it to see if they're doing reenactments, because if they open that up again, like, I definitely want to get in there and check that out.
Yeah, I mean, what you call it, the seasonal dates are May 1st to Labor Day.
Yeah. So apparently there was a story where a girl was chasing a shadow through the second floor of the granite structure, and she chased it right off a ledge and fell a story, hurt her leg or whatever. And then specifically in the Milliken Battery, there are shadow figures, disembodied voices. There are noises like explosions.
Okay.
And there is a shimmering entity that appears to people in the Milliken.
Does it walk on all fours?
I don't know. But that was such a weird, specific thing for Milliken. A shimmering entity that appears. A shimmering apparition. So they were saying that during construction, there was one death during construction where something fell and somebody was crushed. But then there were also soldiers that were brought there during the war because there was an infirmary inside of the Fort Rodman.
Yeah.
So there were soldiers that were brought there during the war that were definitely injured during like the Civil War and whatnot. And then during the Spanish flu, people were brought in there. They were using it as a hospice basically for flu victims. So people were brought in during the Spanish flu. People definitely had passed away during their, inside there during that pandemic.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, they did an investigation there. They found a lot of similar stuff. They saw shadows moving. They were hearing a lot of stuff in Milliken. Milliken was probably the most active one that they found. They were in there. They could hear bang. There was a couple bangs. There was a couple really good bangs. You know what I mean?
I mean, honest to God, folks. Joe, you can confirm this. I've explored a lot of fucking places. This place gives you horror movie vibes.
It is kind of creepy, and so
it has a weird creep factor to it. I just can't explain.
Yeah, and so at one point they heard like footsteps. They could hear footsteps coming from all different places, like coming up behind them and stuff like that. I did notice, and they also said so on the show, that I noticed that there's a lot of condensation that drips through the ceiling down there, and because there's so many like empty cans, either of spray paint cans or food cans or trash and stuff like that that's kind of up against the wall, I noticed that like when a big drop or something hits one of those, it does make a pretty loud sound.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it was pouring while we were there, but apparently that condensation stays there. Even if it's not raining out, there's still condensation, there's still drops coming from the ceiling at all times. I mean, that may or may not explain all the weird sounds. It explains some of the ones that I was hearing.
You know, I'm going to tell you something, Joe. I was surprised for the weather we had that there was really not any wet spots at all.
So, you know what's interesting?
The thing didn't take on any water.
So, you know what's interesting? Is in one of those rooms that we first went into, right, around the back, there was this spot where there was, I don't know if you saw it or not, there was a spot where the floor dropped down and there was actually a tunnel that was a level lower than we were,
mm-hmm.
and it was full of water.
Oh, okay. So like a French drain, they built a French drain system?
No, it was just there was a hole in the floor. It looked like it dropped down, and there was like a tunnel that went off in the distance, but it was full of standing water.
Oh.
So I was watching some other videos on Fort Tabor, like some other urban explorers, and one of them, they found that same hole that dropped down, and it was empty, and they were able to get down into it, and they went a pretty far distance. I don't know how far it actually went. They went probably 40 or 50 feet down that tunnel. It's probably only about 5 feet tall, 4 or 5 feet tall at the most. But they were able to go 40 or 50 feet, and the tunnel just kept going. It didn't look like they got to any end at all. So I don't know where that tunnel went, or how far it went, or what it serviced, or what it does, whether it was just a drainage system for the fort, or if it was something else. But that was something I noticed. That was completely full of water when I saw it.
Okay.
And
so that's where all the water went.
So I don't know if I may have gotten that on video. I'll try to scan through the video I got. But I put that on Instagram for all the subscribers. I put all the footage from that on there. So if you want to subscribe to Instagram, you can see all my full long length format videos of when we explore these places. I put them all up there like that. And I'm pretty sure that's in there. I'm pretty sure I walked up to that with the camera on, so I'll try to find that and
I did actually saw that video. That was like a good 15-minute video. Did you add more of them?
No, I think I stuck them all together. I thought it was closer to 30, but I don't remember.
It could have been 30 minutes. I mean, I watched it like once, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, so as far as like the water drainage, that there may be a drainage system in there. I mean, there were some spots where the floor was definitely lower down. I don't know what those rooms were for. The one we were sitting in when we were doing the paranormal stuff, when we were listening to the ghost hunting equipment, trying to hear voices and stuff in there.
I mean, as soon as she turned that shit on and we turned the corner, that fucking shit started going off like wild.
Yeah.
And she was even saying it too. She's like, I am getting a lot of activity.
Right. You know, and there's no EMF or anything in there. Like there's no electricity running through those places. It's all been ripped out. You saw all the wires.
Yeah, I mean, there's no fucking radio waves or anything getting fucking transmitting through that fucking. This is a legit, folks. This is a legit like underground fucking airtight bunker.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's ominous when you walk up to it. Like, the size of the entrance to it is massive, and it's got this big, like, half, this, like, oval that kind of hangs over it.
Yeah, it's fucking wacky, man. I don't even know how to explain it.
I would like to see if, at some point, if you could figure out where the batteries actually were for Battery Milliken, because, like, what we were going through, that was all the bunkers for the weaponry. That was all like it had all the rails on the roof, on the ceiling, and that was all to move like ammunition and projectiles and stuff like that. But I kind of want to see like where the batteries actually were. Where were the guns mounted? You know what I mean? I mean, there was that one pillbox on the top in the back, and that's just a machine gun fortification. You know, we could see that as we were walking up. You could see it up on the hill. You know, reminiscent of like, I don't know, when you see movies about D-Day and storming the beach in Normandy, you see pillbox, you see the German pillbox, and they're shooting down the beach. Like, that's what it is, the pillbox up on the hill.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
about. But what
now.
I didn't see was the actual batteries of where the 12-inch guns would have been set up. You know what I mean?
We found one of them, remember? But it was welded shut.
No, that was the pillbox.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
No, I'm talking about where the batteries were for the guns. Where were the guns mounted? That's what I didn't see.
Oh.
Where were the big guns mounted? Where were they feeding all those rounds to? You know what I mean? It could have been those doorways that went off of the back in those rooms where we were. You know, because it had those doors that were all blocked off and gated off. I mean, it might have been out in that direction, but I don't know.
Could have been. I mean, once you get inside that fucking big tunnel, it's confusing. It's a very confusing place.
Yeah, the rooms off to the side are confusing. The tunnel itself is very easy. It's one big tunnel. It kind of goes in, turns at like a 30 degrees, goes all the way down the other end, turns at 30 degrees, and then there's another opening down the other end.
Yeah. I mean, the tunnel itself is pretty self-explanatory. It's a big fucking tunnel.
It's just a big, long tunnel. It's dark as hell, and there's all these rooms off to the side. The rooms you can get lost in pretty quick.
Very easily.
I mean, you can't go very far before you have to turn around and come back, but...
I remember several times while we were exploring it, like, just getting lost with the group, and, like, I'd be like, okay, fucking... I'm next to Garfield, and I'm next to Heather and her kids, but where's my kid? And you know what I mean? It was just like my daughter would be with you, and then you know, Craig would be in a room by himself, and it just got wacky at certain times.
Yeah, and there was at one point where we were in one of those side rooms, and we decided that we were going to shut all the lights off and just listen for the Ovilus and the spirit box, and just ask questions. And dude, I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm standing there and I've got like my back to this hallway. This happened a couple times. Actually, both times when we sat down and we listened to the boxes, like I had my back to a hallway or an opening, and I kept turning around and looking and like seeing, like kept kind of taking the flashlight, kind of opening my hand up a little bit so I could kind of see, because I kept feeling like there's something down this fucking hallway. Constant feeling of that. I mean, while we were walking around, it's like whatever. We're just walking around, and you know, I got eyes on everybody. But when we were just sitting there listening, it was always like there was a hallway or something, or a room right behind me or off to my side where I kept wanting to have eyes on it. You know.
I mean, I don't mean to toot my own horn, Joe. You know what I mean? I've done a lot of urban explorations.
Yeah.
Do you understand why I didn't want to do this alone?
Oh yeah, it would have freaked me out if I'd done it alone. I wouldn't have wanted to go. I wouldn't want to go in all those rooms if it was just me. You know.
It's just there's a creep factor to it. I can't quite put my thumb on it, but there is something there, man. There's something there. There are moments, like you said, where you swear to God you think you saw something. There's moments where you feel like you're being watched. There was the one session where remember, like you said, you had your back to the wall. We shut off all the lights, and we did about 10-15 minutes of readings.
Yeah.
And what's fucked up is I had read some articles like that morning before we went out there. Yeah. And I guess a woman left a dead baby in there in 2022.
Yeah, that's right. You were talking about that while we were there.
And at one point, did Heather tell you, like, it sounded like a baby's crying?
No, I didn't hear that.
She caught it like twice.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it sounded like a baby crying.
That's creepy as shit. whenever you start hearing
Very
kids
fucking
crying or babies crying in a place where you know there's no babies, that's fucking, you know, that's creepy.
And they found a dead baby, what, 3 years ago in there?
Yeah.
It's freaky. And then there was the other time where she was hearing like growling. Did you get that, dude?
No, but I think that's one of the things that happens there too.
That was towards the end, dude. She started hearing growling.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Who are you? What's your name?" And it just kept growling, dude.
And shit.
And then she was like, I don't know if you're supposed to ask this. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. But she's like, "Are you human?" And it called her a bitch.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, dude.
Well, that's not fun.
Yeah. So when she said, "Are you human?" and it called her a bitch, she was like, "Yeah, I'm done." Like that was the end of the ghost box, dude. Yeah. I'm not even kidding.
That's funny.
We heard like 2 or 3 growls, and then she said, "Are you human?" and the thing called her a bitch, and she shut the shit off. And I don't blame her.
Yeah, right.
Because I'm like, yeah, I don't want to proceed with this one. Like, it creeped me out.
Yeah.
But I mean, man, oh man, what a fucking, that was an experience, dude. Like,
yeah, it was a good experience, man. Because we had a few people who were, you guys are definitely urban explorers, you big time, and some paranormal investigators. I know from, looking at Heather's stuff on her TikTok page, she does quite a lot of paranormal investigation.
Oh yeah,
and so she's pretty handy with all that, and that was an interesting take. I don't spend a lot of time doing the ghost hunting thing, so it's fun to watch. People who do that.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, because I explore. I don't do any of the ghost hunting stuff. So that was a cool element to our journey that day.
Yeah. Yep. Very cool.
Yeah, it was cool. There was a lot of like cool side rooms to go into. It would be cool, like you said, Joe, to maybe have a map or something of like when it was in operations to see where did the guns go and how was it all kind of set up when it was in operations. That would be cool.
That would be kind of neat if they started doing that with Milliken, kind of bringing it back. You know what I mean? So you could see how it operated.
Yeah,
being a self-contained battery like that, it's interesting, to see that stuff. But they do have a lot of older pictures there in the museum. They got a lot of history of it there.
Because it's like, I'm going to use an analogy, Joe. It's like a mini city down there, no?
It kind of is, yeah. I mean, self-contained battery like that is its own little, it's got its own little workings and everything in there. But
yeah, it's like a little underground city / tomb.
Yeah. So I did want to mention before we wrap this up, I was watching a YouTube video, another urban investigator who went in there, and this was only dated like 9 months ago. And you know how we went in there and there's graffiti all over the walls, everything, all down the hallways, everything, in that first room especially too. Like when you walk in there in that first room on the right, just that single room, all the walls were all graffitied. So this video from 9 months ago, this guy walked in there, it was probably, late summer or whatever. All those walls were all painted over. There was almost no graffiti on any of those walls 9 months ago.
Holy shit.
So all that stuff is all relatively new. Like it seems like they, at some point over the summer, they went in there and painted everything, tried to clean it up, and then ever since then, over the winter or whatever, all this new graffiti has popped up. So they are obviously trying to clean it up, but not able to keep up with it,
It's crazy because I went in there and I saw about, I want to say 3, because some people who do this shit, they like to, the urban explorers, they tag like a symbol or like they put a name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I saw about 3 of them that I've seen in Norwich State, Fernald, just about every other place I've ever explored.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's like, wow, man, like, fucking these people who urban explore, they don't fuck around, dude. Like they literally go to every fucking place. It's like, oh yeah, I've seen that sign before, and oh, I've seen that one before too. Right. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, there was an urban explorer that I found on Instagram because he spray painted his Instagram name at Seaside Sanatorium.
And he had his marking in Fort Battery, Milliken?
No. I'm just saying that in general. Like, I found him on Instagram because he put his Instagram handle. He spray painted at Seaside Asylum, and I found his social media stuff.
Oh, no shit. Didn't Heather say something about Seaside when we were there?
She did, yes. She said she had a really crazy experience there. Something about it. I can't remember exactly what it was, but there was something in some paranormal investigating. She found something happened that was pretty awesome. As far as ghost hunting goes.
Let's put that fucking shit on the shelf and go back to that at some point.
Yeah, well, we got to get there. We got to get inside those big buildings at some point before they tear them down. They've been talking about doing for years.
I mean, that's the great part with
and then she got chased out.
Oh, yeah, by a security guard, right?
They got caught and chased out by security, yeah. By one of the rangers.
I mean, that's the one thing, though, when you go with people like Craig or Heather, like, they know all the nooks and crannies, how to get into places without getting, for the most part, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they do it so much.
Oh, man, some of the things that I've seen on her TikTok and the places that she's gone, it looks incredible. That I wouldn't even think you could get into places like that, and then there they are, you know.
Oh yeah, dude.
But anyways, let's wrap this up, man. It's been an hour.
Okay. Anything more paranormal you want to speak about it?
No, I think I covered everything that I saw. Covered everything that popped up on that show.
I mean, okay, so we're wrapping it up here. Scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna say plus fucking 25. It is definitely haunted. There's something in that battery. I can't speak about the fort itself because we didn't get inside of it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, like you said, when the season starts in May, maybe we'll go check it out, and maybe they'll have tours.
Yeah.
And we could maybe see the inside of the fort, which would be cool as fuck.
That would be cool. Yeah, the big granite Fort Rodman is definitely one that's on the list. I want to get into it. I want to go in there. Yeah. I mean, whether it's a tour or whether it's... I mean, hell, we might even be able to, like, talk them into giving the podcast a tour, you know?